Hello again, sports fans. Well, today I'm testing out a new Team Black Sheep Triumph 5.8 GHz video antenna. I normally use the circular wireless skew planer, but my supplier was out of them and suggested I try one of these. Using the skew planer the other day, I was able to get my Texumo out to 6 kilometers before the video started to break down seriously. Today I'm flying the VAS Specter, which has got the same radio and video gear. I've just switched over the antenna. It's a little bit more power hungry than the Texumo, so hopefully I shouldn't have any trouble getting out and back, but I'm not going to be messing around on the way. So the takeoff goes okay, and I get it up to about 100 metres and do a quick test of the stabiliser mode and return to home function. Everything looks okay, so I start heading off down the valley to the left of Mount Tennant. I'll be flying straight down that valley. There's another remote control model aircraft field 7 kilometres down there. Hopefully I'll be able to make it to that. I do notice that the model's wandering a bit on the stabiliser, and I know that this is due to the fact that I haven't calibrated it properly. So I haven't flown the Specter in a while, so something I need to do when I get it back. So we're out past 4 kilometres, coming up to 5 kilometres, and I start to get a little bit of video breakup, but I managed to adjust the antennas and get it back. You'll notice that the distance from home is flashing, which I've set to do once it gets past 5 kilometres. So we're at 6 kilometres, which is about as far as I got with the Texumo. I start to get a bit of video breakup, but I am able to adjust the antenna to get the video back, and there's the NAS club down below, so I figure I'll be over it in about half a kilometre, so I fly to about 6.5 k's. I'm starting to get a bit worried about the battery voltage dropping, so I get to where I think is over the top of it and hit the return to home mode. So she turns around okay, and there doesn't look to be any loss of video. I think I get a glitch or two once I get moving, but it's not too bad. So the battery voltage is lower than I'd like, but I think I've got enough to get back. So here we are, just over 5 kilometres out, and it's about this time that another club member who just happens to be right next to me starts up his big 4-stroke Tiger Moth, and I start to get interference on the video signal. It starts to break up fairly severely, and in the flashes that I see, I notice that the indicator in the middle of the screen shows that the plane's actually flying south or southeast, and I have a heck of a time getting the picture back. I jiggling the antenna, and he's taxiing out to the field, and I keep getting flashes which aren't particularly encouraging, but I can still see that I'm in the air, and as I said, I'm still messing around with the antenna. But eventually he takes it out to the strip, and he stalls it out there, and I'm able to jiggle the antenna and get the video back, but by the time I do, I notice that I've lost a fair bit of distance, just about 1 kilometre, and the battery voltage is down below the 10 volts, so I bring it back on course and decide, well, I'm going to have to shut down the motor and try and conserve the battery to see if I can sacrifice a bit of altitude for distance. So shutting down the motor brings up the voltage to a reasonable level, but the poor old Specter just isn't meant for gliding. It just doesn't do it very well at all, and the ground speed I'm doing is just not enough to really keep it flying straight and level. So I'm forced to feed a little bit of throttle into it, but even then it's very hard to maintain a course, and she starts wandering from side to side, and the video starts to be affected. I suspect it's flying outside the directional beam of the helicals, and I'm messing around with the antenna trying to get the signal stable, which I eventually managed to do. So I bring it back on course and try and conserve the battery and keep it flying straight and level, which I seem to be able to do for a while. The speed's relatively okay, I think. Then the battery voltage starts to sag again, and I start thinking about where I might be able to put this thing down. When the battery goes, it's down below the 10 volts again, so I know I've only got probably about 1.5 to 2 minutes of flight remaining. And just about then the video decides it's going to play up again, so I'm messing around with the antenna trying to get that sorted. I'm trying to pull back on the throttle and keep everything level, but I'm fighting a losing battle at this point. And then the video just goes to absolute rubbish. So it's jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. I'm seeing the odd flash that lets me know it's still in the air. I can see there's a signal there, so I'm just trying to make minor corrections based on the little flashes that I'm getting. But it's all looking a bit doomed at this point in time. I think what's happened is that I've flown a lot further east than I was planning to, and I'm actually being blocked by the steel containers that make up our clubhouse. So I'm jiggling the antennas, but I don't think I'm pointing them far enough east. I'm still getting the occasional flash that lets me know it's still in the air, but there's nothing I seem to be able to do to pick up a clean signal at all. It's really very frustrating. You know that the thing's still in the air because of the flashes that you're getting, but you really aren't seeing anything for long enough to be able to take any sort of control at all. At 1 minute it's flying straight and level, and the next minute you see something like this tailspin into the ground. I can see the GPS coordinates on this particular frame, but in real time it was just a flash. I had no hope of knowing where it was, and certainly the little DVR that I've got wouldn't have allowed me to play it back. So when the signal finally went to nothing, I realised that it had gone in and wasn't transmitting video anymore, and it was the end of the flight. So the good news is that not only did I remember to put a locator beacon on board, I remembered to turn it on, and I also remembered to bring along my UHF scanner. So I hopped in the car and drove about 5 kilometres up the road, and was able to pick up the signals from it, sort of moderate strength signals, but I went up and down the road about 1 kilometre and I couldn't seem to work my way any closer to it, and eventually figured it out that it was probably up on the ridge opposite where I was. So I drove the 5 kilometres back to the strip and 5 kilometres up the road on the other side of the ridge, and was picking up much stronger signals there, and eventually, again after about an hour, managed to find it on the top of a hill in the middle of a patch of pine trees. So pretty happy about that. If I had looked at the video, this would be the last visible frame I would have seen on the DVR, and that would have located me at 400 metres up in the air, probably half a kilometre south of where the plane actually was, so I wouldn't have found the thing at all. It was just too much territory to cover. So I'm pretty happy that I had the locator on. So this was my first sight of the plane. It's a trail of wreckage starting with the battery, which looks even a bit too bent for me to straighten out. This is a little locator beacon. As you can see, it's been thrown out of the plane. It's got its own little battery, and if it hadn't had that I wouldn't have found the plane at all. The poor old Specter's a bit bent, but it looks repairable. The Mobius camera unfortunately didn't survive the impact. It's actually had some of the surface mount components knocked off it and rattling around in the case. And as the sun sinks slowly in the west behind Mount Tennant, I turn around and start staggering back the kilometre back to the car. Well, at least it's downhill. So, as far as the TBS Triumph antenna is concerned, I'm pretty impressed. It's got me a new distance record. It's half a kilometre past where I got with the circular wireless. Mind you, I was 100 metres higher this time, so that would have assisted, but considering the difference in price, I'm pretty happy with the Triumph, and I'll probably be getting some more. As far as the locator beacon is concerned, well, what can you say? It found me the plane. True, after I'd got home and analysed the video, I would have found those one or two frames that did give me the GPS location, and it turned out to be within about 50 metres of where the plane actually was. I think it was a bit of a miracle though that those two frames appeared out of the static just before it hit the deck. It was a bit of a learning experience for me, figuring out how to get the most out of the beacon. It transmits 3 tones of increasing strength, so when you hear 3 tones you're supposedly quite close to the model, but I found I was getting 3 tones when I was still a kilometre away. It was probably partly due to the fact that I'd made up a Yagi antenna to increase the range of the scanner, and it probably was working better than it needed to. I found when I got close to the model that I had to take the Yagi off and put the original rubber ducky on and make like a lighthouse while I was holding the radio close to my chest, just to pick up where the signal was the weakest and walk in the opposite direction. Still, it's an interesting exercise. As I said, it worked, so you can't fault anything that worked, and the beacon's a lot cheaper than a new plane, so mission accomplished. Anyway, I hope you enjoy watching this video a lot more than I enjoyed making it, and hopefully the next one will be a lot more boring.